Hello everyone, here we are in Zandvoort in the Netherlands. It's a beautiful racetrack embedded into the dunes. The weather is so-so, a bit of rain, bit of sunshine, it's all mixed up. But we're excited to be here and we've got two local heroes from the Netherlands, so that's exciting news. But obviously all eyes are on Lucas Auer and on Jules Gounon, so let's see what this weekend brings.
International stop number 1. The DTM moves to the Dutch North Sea coast.
Welcome in Zandvoort.
On the Formula 1 racetrack, the hunt for the title points continues.
You have the banking in turn 3 and turn 14, which is special. There's a lot of sand coming from the dunes, so it's quite an interesting weekend.
Of the 24 drivers, 2 are particularly keen for the third DTM weekend because it's their home race. Firstly, there's Thierry Vermeulen. The Ferrari driver even started from the second row of the grid here last year, only just missing out on the podium. That should finally change.
Another good qualifying for sure is important here because overtaking is not easy around this track. So yeah, we'll start in qualifying and then a clean race and hopefully we can secure the podium, yes.
And this man is definitely motivated, Maurice Schuring. After a good 11th place at the Lausitz-Ring, the upward trend should continue for the local hero.
We were making really good progress. In the race it's always difficult to go forward, but I'm really enjoying it. We're making good steps and I'm looking forward to keep the progress high.
As things stand, the hot favourites for the championship battle are Mercedes. Lucas Auer comes to Holland as the overall leader. 2 wins from 4 races. The Austrian really is on fire at the moment.
Mega top time. Yes.
I would say Mercedes AMG in general is very strong this year, better than the last 2 years, and there's a good harmony between Landgraf and myself. And the first 2 race weekends we just delivered very well, but it's still a very young season.
Only 6 points behind Auer, Jules Gounon. In his first full DTM season, the Frenchman has immediately become the favourite for the championship.
I think we can still improve. We are new together with my engineer. It's the first time we work together, and as an engineer, it's a bit like with your girlfriend. The more you know each other, the more you give each other pleasure, or let's say fast for us.
The 30-year-old has very fond memories of the track in the Netherlands.
Yeah, we won here with Renger van der Zande. I remember race 1 we won. It was a good thing. I think I did pole position also, so it was a really good day. So I've always loved Zandvoort, and 2017 brings me a lot of good memories from the Callaway time.
Whether local hero, newcomer or title favourite, everyone is keen on the spectacular dune circuit in Zandvoort. Rounds 5 and 6 of the season. Let's go!
Well, there is the DTM trophy. A long way to go before drivers can start to think about that. René Rast knows how to do it. He's been a 3-time champion. But there is a big battle to be had this year and a big question over what the weather is going to do in this race, because the rain has fallen just before the cars came to the grid. Will it be wet tyres or will it be dries here at Zandvoort for race 1? So let's take a look at the circuit, our venue for the third weekend of the season. First built as a street track in the late 1930s, opened as a full-time venue in 1948, and it is built amongst the dunes with just a stone's throw from the beach here at Zandvoort from the North Sea coast. And what a great race we had last year. Marco Wittmann coming home victorious from 14th place on the grid. A chaotic race. And the German driver had a car that was falling to bits. It had smoke pouring from it, had bits of bodywork falling off it, but Marco kept on going and he got the car all the way to the checkered flag to get his first win at the track for 9 years. Could we have more such drama this weekend? The answer probably is yes, especially given the weather. Luca Engstler doing a fine job, his best qualifying of the season so far, starts third.
Yeah, it should be all good. I mean, we had a good qualifying in these conditions. Basically, it's going to dry up in the end, so for sure it's a bit of a stressful hour ahead, but I think that's what we all want and all love.
Maro Engel arrives here 4th in the championship standings. For the first time this season, the German driver will line up on the front row of the grid.
I think it's going to be an exciting race, so we'll just have to see how the race develops, how the track dries up, or if there's another shower coming. So it's going to be an interesting race for sure.
No doubt about it, though, the star of qualifying was Jordan Pepper, the South African, at the start of his first full season in the DTM, scoring pole position for the first time in the Grasser Racing Team-run Lamborghini.
I think DTM was always a dream, and to get my first pole is just amazing. Yeah, obviously we had the opportunity of the rain to capitalize. We did it. Super proud of the team and the boys, but now we get the big points in the race, and that's what's important. And yeah, hopefully the extra support, the love and the support from my mom, my sister, and my girlfriend is just so special to share these cool moments with them as well. And I know the whole of my family is at home watching on the TV, watching this stream, so shout out to them. And I can imagine it's going to be a long hour for them like it will be for us.
So a wet qualifying session, Jordan Pepper coming out on top. This is how the grid shapes up for round 5 of the championship. The final row of the grid, and Nicola Bart in the Aston Martin and Fabio Scherer looking for his first points in the Mustang. Row 11, Arjumani starts 22nd, Timo Glock starting 21st. Marco Wittmann, who starts 3rd on the grid for race 2, is back in 20th with Ben Durr for company. René Rast starts on pole for race 2, but he's back on the 9th row of the grid. Then we've got Nicky Tim and Gilles Magnus on row 8. On row 7, Jack Aitken, Lausitzring winner, and Max Powell, who was on pole position here last year. Thierry Vermeulen on home soil, and Mirko Bortolotti, the reigning champion, up next. Then into the top 10, Tom Callender with his best qualifying so far. Jules Gunon second in the championship for company. Thomas Preining and Maurice Skuring are next up. And then it's Lucas Auer, the championship leader, starting 6th. Ionjin Guan, Oschersleben winner, starting 5th. Ricardo Feller and Luca Engstler are on the 2nd row of the grid. And Maro Engel and Jordan Pepper will lead them around the formation lap, ready to start the rolling start, and 55 minutes plus 1 lap of racing. The track is wet. It's going to be a start on wet tyres, but that rain is starting to ease. It could be one of those races where you have to keep changing from slicks to wets and back again. An engineer's nightmare. Jordan Pepper arriving here then 3rd in the championship, picking up another 3 championship points for that pole position. There is the great Bernd Schneider, 5-time champion in the DTM. A big smile on his face because he knows that drama is coming. Chris Hartley then to talk you through round 5 of DTM 2025. The lights go out, the race gets underway, and it's the perfect start for the pole sitter. The Lamborghini of Jordan Pepper is going to lead into turn 1, but it's side by side for 2nd place. Engel hasn't got a great start in the Mercedes, and Luca Engstler is going to try and squeeze through to make it a Lamborghini Grasser Racing 1-2. He gets through, and Ionjin Guan gets through as well in the green Porsche, so he's up to 3rd, and it's side by side for 4th. You're on board with Ricardo Feller, who's trying to go around the outside here, almost 3 abreast into the banked turn 3, left-hander, but Engel just about fended off Feller. He has, though, lost 2 places off the start of the race as they come up the hill for the first time to this spectacular piece of tarmac on the way into turn 6 at 230 kilometres an hour before dropping back downhill on the way through this right-hander at turn 7. So Pepper leads, Engstler 2nd, Guan, who was a race winner at Oschersleben, is next up, and then it's Maro Engel down to 4th place. Ricardo Feller, who won here in 2023 as an apt driver in his Audi, is 5th. Lucas Auer is currently running in 6th place, the championship leader in that pink number 22 Mercedes. Then it's Maurice Skuring, having his best qualifying in DTM in his first season. He's 7th on the grid and he's still in 7th place. Thomas Preining is behind him, though, in the sister Porsche. And then it's Jules Gunon, 2nd in the championship, 9th. 3 abreast here further back. The 2 BMWs side by side. René Rast in the blue machine thuds over the curbs. You got Ben Green in the Ferrari trying to get in on the action as well. You're on board with Marco Wittmann, who's been a 2-time race winner at this circuit, but he can't get past Rast. Those 2 drivers trying to come through the order, and Ben Green trying to split the Schubert Motorsport BMWs apart, which I think he's going to do. The Ferrari squeezing up the inside into the banking, still flat out in the wet through there at about 200 kilometres an hour. So a spectacular start to the race, tricky conditions, but hats off to the drivers. They all made it through that first lap as we get a replay of the start of the race. And this was the battle through for 2nd place at turn 1. Engstler getting up the inside of Engel. Then he's out wide. There might have been a big contact on the way through the corner as well. And then watch for the green Porsche of Ionjin Guan, the Turkish driver. Took full advantage. Got a great run coming out of that 2nd turn and got through to 3rd place. All sorts of nibbles and bits of contact on the way through what's a tight, twisty start to the race. This was what it looked like from Thierry Vermeulen's point of view in the Ferrari. And there was definitely some contact there from 1 or 2 other drivers in the field. Perfect start, though, for the South African, because Jordan Pepper is 3.5 seconds clear now of his teammate Luca Engstler. Guin third, pulling away from Engel in fourth. Fifth is still Feller. Sixth, seventh and eighth are together. And the one to watch in this battle is the third car in the queue, the bright yellow and green Porsche of the 2023 champion Thomas Preining, because he's been catching the two ahead of him for the last lap or so.
We need to survive 10 minutes. We need to survive 10 minutes and then we'll be slicks. The slicks are already faster.
So Tom Callender, Nicky Tim and Max Powell amongst those that pitted early and put slick tyres on. They were slower to start with, but they're the team radio confirming that slick tyres are now quicker and much, much quicker than those on wet. But if you're on the wet tyre, you've got to try and get to 20 minutes into the race as we get a spectacular exit into the gravel track from Timo Glock. And his tyre coming completely away there from that rear right corner of the McLaren. He's got damage to the front of the car as well, so he's been in the wars. I tell you what, that was a spectacular save from the ex-Grand Prix racer, because he should have been in the gravel trap and he was almost in the barriers. There was contact with Gilles Magnussen in the Aston Martin with only 3 wheels now on the car. On board with Maurice Skuring then, one of the home heroes here in Holland, looking to go up the inside of the championship leader, but he can't quite get through. And then watch for Thomas Preining, who gets a much better exit in the Sister Manthey car. The Austrian is about to get through here on the charge into turn 4, into turn 5, through he goes. And up at turn 6, Slottermacher, he's already through. So Preining gains a place. Skuring then has to close the door to fend off Jules Gounon, who's already had 2 podiums at the start of this season and runs second in the championship, behind fellow Mercedes driver Lucas Auer, who's had 2 wins from the first 4 races of the season. So the drivers struggling on these wet tyres, dry bits of tarmac. Drivers trying to find damp patches to keep the tyres from overheating, just trying to get to that pit window, which once it opens, they're all going to come diving in and put slick tyres on. And Preining now gets fully alongside Lucas Auer. The 2 Austrians absolutely side by side as they head towards the chicane. Right-hander coming up, but then it goes straight into a left. Preining knows this, holds on to it and squeezes through ahead of the pink Porsche. And he's ahead of the Landgraf car to gain another place. So looking good here for Thomas Preining. His next target is to be getting past Ricardo Feller for 5th place. 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th and 9th all together here as they go through the banking at turn 14. Absolutely flat out. They'll be at 260 kilometres an hour before they hit the brakes on the way into Tarzan, where they drop down to just 90 kilometres an hour. It's a very heavy braking zone. On board with Maurice Skuring now, who lives in Amsterdam, less than an hour from the circuit these days. So he very much counts this as his home race, his first race as a DTM driver on home soil. And now you can see Thomas Preining is right underneath the rear wing of the Land Motorsport driver, the sole Audi in the field, driven by Ricardo Feller, who runs a bit wide on the exit, and Preining comes at him now. He's got really good traction again coming out of turn 3 and side by side at turn 4, up the hill, on board with Ricardo Feller, but Preining has gone through and into 5th place. Preining now has set about catching up to Maro Engel very quickly indeed, and he's gone onto the tail of the driver that started 2nd on the grid. Maro Engel 3rd in the championship last year. Thomas Preining, of course, winner of the championship in 2023. Now Maro Engel has come into the pits, but he's about 50 seconds too early because the pit window has not yet opened, so this won't count. And a miscommunication maybe, that's going to absolutely scupper his chances. I don't think he's even going to stop at the pit box, but he's going to have to come in again when the pit window opens. So utter disaster for the driver 4th in the championship. Maro Engel gives everybody a free pass and drops almost to the back of the field. Jordan Pepper, meanwhile, is miles clear at the head of the pack, 7 seconds up the road from Luca Engstler. Maro Engel rejoins, and he'll be absolutely furious about that. That's cost him a chance for a podium. The pit window is open. Everybody that was on the wet tyres are going to come in straight away. So it's going to be chaos here on board with Thierry Vermeulen. Oh, that was Luca Engstler almost running into, in fact, I think he clipped one of the wheels there. Yes, one of the mechanics on the floor for Schubert. As exiting the pits, they all go side by side together. Jules Gounon there, almost coming together with Gilles Magnussen in the Aston Martin. And then Maurice Skuring comes out, contact with one of the Ferraris, which was 2 Dutch drivers together, I think, Vermeulen. So they come out of the pits. It's absolute chaos as they all switch to slick tyres. Oh, Vermeulen's had a spin. That's coming out of the pits. So on cold tyres, which are tricky at the best of times, but when the track is damp, cold, slick tyres and 550 brake horsepower is a difficult combination to control. So he's oversteered into the barrier. He gets going again, but Vermeulen has lost a load of time, I'm afraid. So that's been very, very costly. But it's so easy to do with so little grip out there.
Yeah, so we had the pit stop and then I just took off the pit limiter and somehow the diff just locked and I lost the rear. Then obviously rejoined and then already feeling some weird things with the gearbox after that.
Let's get a replay then. This was Luca Exler exiting the pits. He knocks one of the tyres. That then knocks over the mechanic for Schubert. Shows just how sketchy it can be in these pit lanes, especially when everybody comes in together. No fault of anybody, it's just the circumstances there. Everybody trying to scramble out of the pits as quickly as possible. This was Jules Gounon squeezing out as coming into his pit box was Gilles Magnus, and the stewards are looking at that as a potential unsafe release for the Frenchman. Skurin then making contact with the Ferrari as he came out. There's Lucas Auer, who was right behind all the drama. He had to stand on the brakes, look, to avoid going into the back of the Aston Martin. This is Vermeulen being dropped off the jacks, going out, accelerating away, sticking to the pit lane speed limit, and out comes Skurin and squeezing through, but without avoiding contact. The two Dutch drivers coming together, and then this is where Vermeulen lost it coming out of the pit lane exit, spinning into the inside barrier. This is what it looked like from Skurin's point of view. He did well to avoid, I was going to say avoid the Ferrari, didn't clatter it on the way past. This is what it looked like, oversteering, getting on the throttle, back end snapping away. He avoided the barrier, but Skurin couldn't avoid him and clipped the Ferrari. Now Pepper stayed out a bit later than everybody else. Comes in from the lead of the race, but there's a bit of a scramble here to get the front left on, and that's a slow pit stop, over 13 seconds, so he's given about 6 seconds away here. What did he have? A 7-second advantage, so he's going to come out, but don't forget those on the slick tyres that switched early, including Max Powell and Nicky Tim. They are first and second. Still got to make a mandatory pit stop, but they are going to come into the equation, although there's still 1 or 2 spots of rain out there. Here they come, charging into turn 1. 2 Lamborghinis, a BMW and a Mercedes, and René Rast locks up, goes straight on and into the barriers. Rast into the barriers, and is he out of the race, or can he get going again? The answer, he gets going again, but with big damage to the front left corner, and he's depositing a load of gravel on the way back onto the track as well. Still a very damp circuit. It's a dry line, but on slick tyres it's treacherous out there, but you don't want to be on wets either. Let's get some team radio.
Nicky, you're doing a good job. We are virtually P1.
So that's right, Nicky Tim leads the race. He's still got to make his mandatory pit stop. Jack Aitken behind him. Nicola Bart in 3rd place has also got to make a pit stop, and Ben Durr likewise, who is currently running in 4th place. Anjan Guan is the leading pit stopper. Max Powell has made his pit stop, and he's 2nd overall of those that have been in and completed the mandatory pit stop. So Max Powell here on a real charge. Now what's this? A stationary Ferrari? Oh no, it's Thierry Vermeulen. And the car has stopped on the run up to turn 5. So he's stranded at the moment as Nicky Tim comes in. Goes from slicks to slicks. He's been off the pace all weekend, but the Dane could be in a podium position once he comes out of the pits here. And we've been one of those that gambled to put the slick tyres on early. And let's see where he comes out. Now, it takes a lap to get the tyres up to temperature at the best of times. No tyre warmers allowed in DTM, but on a track that's damp and cold, it's going to be very tricky. The Aston Martin comes through. That's a lap down. So there's a big gap back to the leading pit stopper, which is this man, Anjan Guan. So Nicky Tim on the way to turn 3. Coming out of turn 1, the green Manthey Porsche. It looks like a huge advantage for Nicky Tim, but I tell you what, the Turkish driver will probably be almost with him by the end of the lap. Such is the difficulty of getting those cold Pirelli slick tyres up to temperature. It'll be like skating on ice for Nicky Tim for at least a lap, probably more than a lap given the conditions. Guan goes past the stricken Ferrari of Vermeulen, and he's on a charge. Here we go then, nose to tail for the lead of the race. Nicky Tim versus ENG, and Nicky Tim just about closes the door. The Abt Lamborghini holds on to the lead of the race from the Manthey Porsche. The Porsche is still quicker though, still got its tyres much better up to temperature than has the car which pitted later of Nicky Tim. Nicky, the winner of the Norris Ring race last year. He hasn't been on the podium since, but here he is searching for an unlikely podium, but a better run coming out of turn 3 as they're heading to the yellow flag zone. ENG squeezing past. Now, did he get through before the yellow flag zone? Possibly, possibly not. It was very tight, but that was a key move. Guin was already committed. He got a much better run, much better traction coming out of turn 3. And he squeezed past the Lamborghini of Nicky Tim. Nicky, second place though, from 16th on the grid. Fantastic result. They're going past the Aston Martin now, and into the pits with a right rear puncture comes Thomas Preining. Straight into the box, straight into retirement, and into the barrier again for René Rast. This time that's turn 8. And, well, you very rarely see René go off the road. He's gone off the road twice now, probably not helped by the damage from that first incident. Can't get going again, so the safety car has come out with just under 13 minutes of the race, plus 3 laps to go. There's the green Porsche of the race leader, ENG. Nicky Tim in second, Max Powell from 13th on the grid in third, and then it's Skuring in fourth. He's been told to go for it on the radio by the team boss, who's acting as his race engineer this weekend. We'll go again into turn 1, and the orange Porsche is going for it, trying to go around the outside, but Luca Extras nipped up the inside in the Lamborghini. Out onto the grass goes Maurice Skuring. He's going to lose a couple of places here. The next Lamborghini of Jordan Pepper fires past as well, with a bit of contact on the way through. Skuring goes wide and high, and he gets back at Pepper here, and I think he's got back ahead of the South African. He has. Just a couple of corners to go then for ENG. He is on course to become a 2-time winner in the DTM. Victorious at Oschersleben. Here he is. He punches the accelerator, goes out of the final corner, and ENG is a winner again. Victory number 2 for the Turkish driver. He takes the checkered flag. He takes the win.
Yeah, mate, P1. This is how we do it. That's amazing. Mega job. Amazing.
There's ENG dad smiling, celebrating. What a victory for the Turkish driver. He now will move up to second in the championship as well. Nicky Tim from 16th on the grid comes home in second. That's a first podium for Abt with the Lamborghini. Max Powell takes Powell Motorsport's first ever podium in the championship, and it's his second podium as a driver. Luca Engstler, Lucas Auer, the championship leader, and Maurice Skuring come home 4th, 5th and 6th, with Wittmann, Pepper, Bortolotti and Engel rounding out the top 10. And Fabio Scherer scores his first points of the season in the Mustang in 11th place. Absolute joy then, a roar, a huge smile writ across his eyes. ENG has had a fantastic day.
I'm super happy, and honestly it was mega race. I enjoyed a lot. It was quite tricky. It was the wet, then it was drying. We need to survive with the wet, we need to choose the right time. Then at the end, the restart, I was easy leading, let's say, but then there was a restart. Then there was a rain in the last lap. We had everything, but we managed really well. The team managed it really well, thanks to them, and yeah, we are on the top, super happy.
And how about this? Nicky Tim with his second podium in DTM. He's been off the pace all weekend long, but they pulled a great strategy out of the bag, and he comes home from 16th on the grid to second.
Yeah, crazy race, unbelievable. Standing on a grid, Martin Tomczyk, the legend, came to me and said, you drive the slicks and you have no choice. So you just have to do what the boss says. And again, after a couple of laps, you could see that it was the right call.
And a huge podium finish for Powell Motorsport. Max Powell from 13th on the grid to 3rd place.
If you start P13, go with the flow or with everyone else, you might end up P9 if everything is good. So we said, let's take the risk, get some balls and try it out, and it worked obviously well. I mean, in the first 3 laps it was definitely tricky, but we had to push like hell to get some people before the pit stops, and it worked out.
Well, we've had 2 absolutely mega races back-to-back now in the DTM. Race 2 at the Lausitz Ring was astonishing, and that was pretty good as well. Absolute joy for Ian Nguyen, winner of round 5 of the championship. He becomes the second driver this season alongside Lucas Auer to score 2 race victories. The champagne flows. The Manthey team celebrate. They've played their part as well in what was a chaotic race. So the standings, Lucas Auer still leads. In fact, he extends his championship lead, but Ian Nguyen on 69 points now moves up to second. Jordan Pepper third on 66. Jules Gunon falls to 4th place on 65, ahead of Maro Engel and Jack Aitken. 20 points for finishing second moves Nicky Tim up to 12th place in the standings, and Max Powell with that podium moves up to 14th place overall. First points of the season as well for Fabio Scherer in the HRT Mustang.
We saw a very exciting first race, and now it's time for race 2 here in Zandvoort. And there's one man who actually broke a record because in the qualifying he did something phenomenal. Check it out.
Friday afternoon at Zandvoort, and history is made. At the end of the qualifying session for the second race of the weekend, René Rast comes out on top. It's his 26th career pole, and that means he's now scored more pole positions in the DTM than any other driver in history, moving one clear of the great Bernd Schneider. It's yet another achievement for the 3-time champion, who has now, incredibly, started 20% of his DTM races from pole position. To mark the occasion, the team at Schubert Motorsport had already got some special T-shirts made. René Rast is in search of a 4th title this year, but surely he can already be regarded as one of the DTM greats.
Day 2 here at Zandvoort, and it looks like it's going to be a dry race, but it's really windy and very cold. There's the man then, René Rast, who starts the race from pole.
The aim is obviously to win the race, to just add one more on that record list, which is not broken. So I try to catch Bernd Schneider on that one as well. But obviously, yeah, biggest achievement so far. One of the biggest achievements in my career, the 26 poles, is something incredible. And you know, like 9 years ago on this circuit, I started my DTM career, and my dream job was just to become a DTM driver. Now to be already in that position, to be breaking records is incredible.
A busy grid and a packed grandstand. 32,000 spectators here at Zandvoort. Jack Aitken and Jules Gunon only arrived at the track an hour ago via private jet. That's because they've been testing at Le Mans. So it's a late afternoon start for this 6th round of the championship. And a momentous occasion because that's Marco Wittmann and the 2-time champion about to start his 200th DTM race.
Definitely it feels good. I mean, 200 races, it's quite a remarkable number. Which also makes me proud, you know. I haven't missed a single race since 2013. I'm on the grid, and obviously when I had my first DTM race, kind of dream came true, and now I'm here. We're 200 races later, so obviously so far really enjoyed my time in DTM, and I hope many to come.
So let's see how they'll line up for this second race of the weekend. Following a penalty in qualifying, Ricardo Fella starts at the back. Nicola Bart starting 23rd alongside. Nicky Tim on the podium yesterday, but 22nd on the grid today with Fabio Scherer alongside. Then it's Gilles Magnus and Timo Glock, 20th and 19th. Max Powell on the podium yesterday starts 18th. Ben Green, 17th. On row 8, it's Arjun Maini and the reigning champion, Mirko Bortolotti. Luca Enxler starts 14th. Maurice Skuring, 13th on the grid. Then it's Maro Engel in 12th, and the championship leader Lucas Auer 11th. Into the top 10, Thierry Vermeulen starts 10th. Tom Callender in 9th place on the grid. Jordan Pepper is 8th, and then it's Ian Nguyen, the race 1 winner. 6th place for Ben Durr in the McLaren. Thomas Pryny, the 2023 champion, alongside. Then it's Jules Gunon 4th. Marco Wittmann on his 200th race start is 3rd on the grid. Jack Aitken 2nd, and René Rast on pole position. So Marco Wittmann's last race victory came here at Zandvoort a year ago. That was from 14th on the grid. What can he do from a much higher starting position? The only trouble is he's got a Ferrari to try and find a way past. Jack Aitken, who won here last year, and also René Rast, who happens to be a 3-time champion and the new pole position record holder in the DTM. He's already 3rd in the all-time rankings for the most race wins in DTM. And there's a sticker on his car that says Mission 4 because he's out for his 4th championship title this year. So it's going to be another 55-minute plus 1 lap race, but 2 mandatory pit stops in this second race. The first one is 15 minutes long. The pit window opens after just 10 minutes. The second pit window opens after 39 minutes. and it's just 6 minutes long. Here we go then, all set for the second race of the weekend at Zandvoort. René Rast on pole position. Schubert will be hoping for a good result here. They're third in the team's championship. Their BMWs are first and third on the grid. And we're about to get the rolling start into action here. René Rast to the left of the picture then is about to lead the charge as the lights go out. And we are racing here at Zandvoort. Down towards turn one. Marco Wittmann with a good start. Gets on the inside of the Ferrari already. Jack Aitken is stranded on the outside line here. But the British driver trying to hang on for dear life here. Wittmann has squeezed through though into second. And Thomas Preining in the Porsche. He's trying to get past Aitken as well. You're looking back from Marco Wittmann in second to the Ferrari of Jack Aitken. Into the banked turn three they go. Preining couldn't quite find a way past Aitken, but Aitken has lost that one place. He's down to third position. Fourth place and a good start for Thomas Preining. Then it's Jules Gounon in fifth and Anjan Nguyen in sixth place in the bright green Porsche. Now second in the championship after his second race win of the season. There's Jordan Pepper in the gold Lamborghini going side by side with the Ferrari of Thierry Vermeulen. There's contact between the two of them as they make their way through sector 2. René Rast, meanwhile, has a very healthy lead already of around about 3/4 of a second. You've got Tom Callender in the second of the pink and red Landgraf Mercedes in action here, battling away with Mirko Bortolotti. He's trying to come up from the middle of the grid after a really testing day on Friday, which saw him suffer a puncture and a fan belt failure. And there's a problem for Jordan Pepper in the TGI Lamborghini run by Grasser Racing Team. The left-hand side of the car looks down. He had that contact with Thierry Vermeulen, so has he got suspension damage? Might be a puncture as well. Jordan's already had one puncture this weekend at high speed in free practice, throwing him off the road at 230 kilometres an hour into turn 7. He got really unlucky in Saturday's race from pole position when a wrench failure caused him a slow pit stop, and here he is in trouble again.
Front left puncture.
Confirmation, a puncture for Jordan Pepper, and it's a long, slow hobble back to the pits. So the driver, third in the championship coming into the weekend, is going to struggle to get points now, even though he should be able to rejoin the race. Be relying on a safety car really to try and get back involved in the action, but that's really bad luck for the South African, who showed a lot of potential here this weekend, but hasn't had many rewards for it. Okay, René Rast leads. Marco Wittmann is second. Jack Aitken third. Thomas Preining fourth. Then it's Jules Gounon from Anjan Nguyen. They're the top 6. This is how it looked on the start from the grandstands, which are absolutely heaving here at Zandvoort, despite the weather. And watch for the green Schubert BMW to the left of your picture. He had a good start, Marco Wittmann. He made sure he got himself right underneath the rear wing of his teammate, René Rast. You're on board with Jack Aitken. This is how it looked from his point of view. There's the green BMW, and there's no gap, so Aitken has to stay around the outside. Bravely tries to hang on to it, but he's squeezed out onto the curbs, clipping the grass, and then that lost him some momentum, and he nearly lost another position to 2023 champion Thomas Preining. This is how the start looked on board with Marco Wittmann. Pulled the trigger. Aitken was a bit further back from Rast than he would have liked to have been. Lost a bit of momentum there, and Wittmann pounced straight away. Knew he would need to dispatch of Aitken pretty quickly because the Ferrari driver is rapid and would have been difficult to get past. This was his best chance, and he made sure of it on the exit to turn 1. Aitken then delayed and coming under fire from Thomas Preining. On board with Mirko Bortolotti. A look at the start from his point of view. Right ahead is Maurice Schuring, who is getting into contact with Luca Engstler's Lamborghini ahead, and this was the key moment. There was the contact between the Ferrari of Vermeulen and the Lamborghini of Pepper. Front left contact for the Lamborghini, and that's where the puncture came from. Fantastic shot as they come through turn 6 at Slotermacher, flat out over the crest at 230 kilometres an hour. The car's momentarily lifting off the tarmac and then bottoming out again. It's a brave corner. It's a proper old school track, and we're looking now at a replay of Lugauer pushing just a bit too hard and getting the left rear Pirelli tyre onto the gravel. Big thick stone gravel here at Zandvoort, so you don't really want to be going into that at all. The pebbles in these gravel traps much bigger than you'd normally find at other race circuits. So this is the battle for 8th place. The McLaren of Ben Durr being hounded by the Landgraf Mercedes of Lucas Auer. Landgraf, as a team, got their first race victory here at Zandvoort in their first season 2 years ago. But Maro Engel was the driver then. Now they've got Lugauer on board, and they lead the championship together. The team has been excellent at their pit stops so far this year as well. Lugi has won 2 races this season. He scored points and top 10 finishes in all of the races so far. And here he is pushing on again, but Ben Durr, only in his second season of DTM, doing a terrific job here of fending him off. Having run towards the back of the field in his first season last year, Ben Durr has qualified in the top 6 twice now and been a top 10 race finisher. Right, the first pit window is open and several cars diving in to make their first mandatory stop. Thierry Vermeulen hoping to have a better day than yesterday when he retired from the race with a gearbox-related issue. And this is what it looks like to change the tyres on a car during a pit stop. Under 7 seconds stationary time. It's frantic, it's chaotic, but for these guys, it's also all under control. Right, here is a battle with Mirko Bortolotti getting up the inside of Ben Durr. So Ben Durr dropping down the order. And Ben Durr and Mirko Bortolotti had a coming together at the Lausitz ring, which got Ben a penalty 2 weeks ago. Arjun Maini is now trying to pounce. He's trying to come back from a retirement in that Mustang in race 1. But the Mustang of Fabio Schieri yesterday got its first points and its best result as a car since coming back into the championship. Ford absent from DTM since 1994. But back with this Mustang, this pair of Mustangs now. And there is one of them, the blue and yellow machine of Arjun Maini, up against the much smaller, lighter McLaren. But the McLaren is hanging on to the inside line here through turn 3. Bit of contact between them on the way out. Ben Durr is mixing it with the driver that finished 7th in the championship last year, Arjun Maini. And Mighty bravely trying to go around the outside. There's more contact. But brave stuff from Arjun Maini, and he gets the job done. Fantastic battle going on there between those two drivers. And then you've got the Mercedes trying to get in on the action as well. And that's Tom Callender, the 17-year-old youngest ever driver in DTM, who got his first championship point at Lausitz Ring last time out. There's a replay then of these two giving no quarter on the way through turn 3. Neither of them was going to give an inch. Neither of them did. And in the end, they ran out of inches. And there was a bit of contact on the way out of the corner. And there was a big bit of contact on the run up towards turn 6. Thomas Preining now comes in for his first mandatory stop. Manthey have been one of the best pit stoppers in the championship over the last 2 years. Landgraf are doing a good job as well, as I said, with Lucas Auer. So the two Austrians making their pit stops. One a former champion, that man, Thomas Preining, and behind him, a current championship leader, Luigi Auer, whose best championship result came in 2022 when he finished as runner-up to Sheldon van der Linde in the title race. Still extremely windy out there. It takes, when you get new tyres on, about a lap to get them up to temperature. It took more than that yesterday when a rain shower came down. Kept coming and going in the rain, so very slippery conditions. And look at this, Maro Engel side by side with Jules Gounon. Gounon's got the inside line here. Maro Engel, though, doing a pretty good job of coming up the order from 12th on the grid at the moment. As in comes Jack Aitken from 3rd place. Hasn't been able to keep up with the BMWs, so his race is for 3rd place with Thomas Preining once it all settles down. Arjun Nguyen into the pits now to make his stop. Another 2-time winner this season, like Lucas Auer. And that thrust him that victory up to 2nd place in the championship yesterday. So he is away, up and running. Aitken is heading out of the pits ahead of him. Nguyen looks a bit closer than he was before the pit stop phase, though. So they accelerate away. There's a fairly big gap behind, but then in comes Thomas Preining, and he seems miles behind Jack Aitken, but he won't be miles behind him by the end of the lap, because with his tyres up to temperature, there is so much more traction. There's no tyre heating allowed in the DTM. That's been the case since 2017. So Preining will absolutely gobble up that Ferrari. Jack can keep him at bay till the end of the lap. He might have a chance of staying 3rd, but otherwise this could be critical. So they're about to make their way out of the left-hander at turn 10, and Preining, with more grip, more traction, flings the Porsche around the outside here. This is going to be a race to the chicane. It's a right-left coming up. You're on board with Jack Aitken, and there goes Preining down the inside, clips the curb on the right side, then the left, and he's through. Right, Marco Wittmann in. You've got to change the rears first, then the fronts. Only 6 can work on the pit stop. Only 4 can work on changing the wheels. And away they go. Marco Wittmann, a very good stop that. He was about 2 seconds behind René Rast when the pit stop phase opened. Nice big gap back to the battle for 3rd between Preining and Aitken. Wittmann has come in first. Rast now comes in. Little bit of a fumble on the front right there, but not a bad pit stop from Schubert. Rast away safely. Had those 2 offs in race 1 on a damp track on slick tyres he held his hands up and said, look, the first mistake was mine at Tarzan. I went off, I just overcooked it, thought there was more grip than there was. But he damaged the car, if you remember, going straight on at this corner. And the second time he went off, it was because of that damage, with part of the splitter getting stuck underneath the front wheels, and he had no chance of turning in. But it's incredibly rare to see René Rast go off the road. Right, he's being reeled in. He's on cold tyres in that blue BMW. Warm tyres that are up to speed already for these three drivers. Wittmann, Preining, and also Aitken in the battle for the lead of the race. Let's get some team radio from Lucas Auer.
Keep fighting. You're much quicker than
So
him.
it's the battle for fifth place between Engel and Auer, who are teammates in the GT World Challenge. They won the championship together last year. They've already been winning races this year in that category. Good friends, but they both want to win this championship title. Engel doing a really good job from 12th on the grid to be ahead of Lucas Auer. Behind Luca Engstler, who finished 4th in race 1. But overnight was given a penalty for contact with Maro Engel at turn 1, which dropped him back to 10th place. And Engstler's coming after them, I reckon, in that TGI Grasser Racing Team Lamborghini. Here's more action. This is Nicky Tim in the Lamborghini versus the Audi of Ricardo Feller on replay. And Ricardo Feller sent wide on the exit to turn 1. 2 wheels over the curbs on the gravel. He lost his traction. They're looking at that incident, but Nicky Tim will say, look, I had the line, I was through. With the contact on the way out. Neither driver wanting to give an inch, and a face full of gravel for Max Powell, who was right behind him in the Blue Pal Motorsport Lamborghini. We are into the second pit stop phase then. This one's only 6 minutes long, and in together come third and fourth, Preining and Aitken. Now, over this season, the Manthey team's pit stops have averaged about half a second quicker than the Emil Fry Racing team's pit stops. So Preining will fancy his chances of staying ahead, and he does stay ahead. Aitken actually closed the gap on the way into the pit lane. He was later on the brakes to hit the pit limiter, but a slightly quicker stop from Manthey. Final stop of the race for Marco Wittmann from second place, and it's a really good one, 7.4 seconds. So the 2014-2016 champion is underway. The Bavarian will have his home race next, the Norris Ring, the streets of Nuremberg, where he will have absolutely thousands of fans cheering him on. But Wittmann having a very solid start to the season. Might have been even better, but for an ABS failure at Lausitzring when he started on the front row of the grid. Rast is away now then, and so Wittmann will be behind him, but will start to eat him up on his already warmed up tyres. So he's just about to come through the final turn. You'll see that green BMW popping up into the right corner, top right corner of your screen any moment now. Rast making his way, crawling out of the pit lane, and here comes the BMW of Marco Wittmann. So it's basically the start-finish straight length between them. Meanwhile, that's Cyangin Guan off the road on the exit to the Hans Ernst box, the chicane, the sequence at turns 11 and 12. He gets going again, still extremely wet off the racetrack. He loses several positions. Andre Miney gets past him as well. So that's valuable points lost for Guan. We got Nicola Bart under investigation for weaving in the pit lane. Jules Guenon has served a penalty for speeding in the pit lane, which is why he's back in 8th. And this is a battle between Thierry Vermeulen and Mirko Bortolotti for 9th place. And the champion going around the outside here. This is brave stuff from the Italian. He keeps his foot in. Fantastic move. Borto is through. Might not be battling for a podium position here, but he gives it 100% every time he gets in the car. And once again, after a poor qualifying, Mirko Bortolotti coming good in the race. Now this is a replay of the incident with Guan, and that was Vermeulen as well. Bortolotti just behind, and Vermeulen and Guan making contact. Guan just misses that huge puddle and rejoins, but Vermeulen is now going to be asked to give that position back by the race officials.
Yeah, I mean, we were on cold tires and fighting for position. And yeah, I tried to use, let's say, the advantage of the straight line where it was a bit different shape. So I tried to give him less room in the inside to expect him to back off, because I knew otherwise it will be no exit for him. At the end, what happened that we touch and we lose 5 positions. At the end, he gets a penalty lap and finished behind me.
Into the closing stages of this race then. The time has run out. It's 55 minutes plus 1 lap, and we're on the plus 1 lap. René Rast is being caught bit by bit by Marco Wittmann. He's keeping the pressure up here. Rast is being made to work for this victory by his teammate. Preining is being made to work for third place by Jack Aitken, who has stayed within 0.3 of a second of him for the last few laps. We're on to the final lap of the race, though. Rast, Wittmann and Preining on course for podiums. Aitken is 4th. Engel from 12th on the grid is 5th. And then it's Luca Engstler in a good 6th place. Lucas Auer scoring more solid points in 7th, the championship leader. Jules Gounon 8th. And then Mirko Bortolotti and Maurice Skuring rounding out the top 10. Skuring with great avoidance and great reactions when Arjen Guwen rejoined him after that knock with Thierry Vermeulen. Skuring on course for his 2nd points finish of the weekend here at Zandvoort, his home race in his 1st season of DTM. Right then, up the hill for the final time. Aitken still hasn't given up. You know, he might have one more chance, maybe 1 or 2 more chances if he can get close enough to the Porsche. But I think René Rast has got enough in hand here to keep Marco Wittmann at bay. This, though, is getting super close. The battle for 3rd place with half a lap to go between Preining and Aitken. These two seem to lock horns quite regularly. They always respect each other, though. They always seem to really enjoy racing against one another, and there's absolutely nothing between them. Maybe one more chance for Aitken going down into the chicane for the final time if he can get close enough. That is where the race leaders now are. René Rast goes right, he goes left. He's just got 2 corners to go after this, and that will be his 28th victory in the DTM. It will be his 1st win of the season, and it will also move him up to 2nd place in the championship. Wittmann follows him. Preining has survived the chicane. He's hanging on to 3rd place here after 2 consecutive non-finishes. He's on for his 2nd podium of the season, but it's a race victory for René Rast here. He takes the win. Marco Wittmann follows him home for a 1-2 for Schubert.
Well done, mate. Maximum pickup, USA.
So René Rast takes victory by just over a second from his teammate. Thomas Preining rounds out the podium. Then it's Jack Aitken 4th, Maro Engel, Luca Engstler, Lucas Auer, Jules Gounon, Mirko Bortolotti and Arjen Meiney rounding out the top 10. A very good result that for Arjen Meiney in the new HRT Ford Mustang, which continues to improve. So René Rast becomes our 4th different winner of the season. That's his 1st victory in the DTM at this circuit since 2018, although the championship didn't come here for quite a few years. Maurice Skuring with another solid result in 11th. Arjen Guwen and Thierry Vermeulen reverse positions, so it's 12th for the Turkish driver, 13th for Vermeulen, and then Nicky Tim and Tom Callender also in the points. A delighted René Rast. Made to work hard for that, and as you can see, he's moved up the championship table ahead of Arjen Guwen into 2nd spot. Thomas Preining with his 2nd podium. Do not rule him out of this title fight either. But the perfect day for Schubert Motorsport with a 1-2 finish. René Rast coming out on top. And that despite taking a heavy bang to his head before the race.
Yeah, it was a very difficult race physically. I had a lot of head pain. Also, my fingers are still tickling, so wasn't easy. But yeah, we made it. I mean, the team did an amazing job, and they deserved it.
And it wasn't quite the perfect 200th race for DTM star Marco Wittmann, but it was his 1st podium of the season.
What a team result. To finish 1-2, it's just amazing for the team, for Team Schubert, for BMW. So we can be very grateful for that. He had a very strong pace at the beginning, René, on the 1st and 2nd stint, but then it kind of turned around and I was stronger in the last stint, closed the gap, but yeah, at the end it was just not quite enough for an attack. But I'm definitely happy with P2. You know, I mean, it's very good points. Was a very good day, so we can be very, very happy.
Meanwhile, a hard-fought 3rd place finish for the 2023 champion, Thomas Preining.
It's been a really long afternoon for me. I had Jake in my neck all the time. He was really quick and driving really well. So yeah, thanks to him for a good fight. I think we had a good time out there. In general, not so easy. Very difficult to keep the tire alive, and very difficult also to even make them work after the pit stop. But I think we did a great job on strategy, pit stops and outlaps. So I think this is what at the end of the day gave us the podium.
So what a podium lineup that is. A 3-time champion on the top step, a 2-time champion on the 2nd step, and a 1-time champion on the 3rd step of the podium. Rast, Wittmann and Preining, all 3 of them surely are going to be in the title race this year. Time then for the champagne spray. Slightly under the weather, René Rast. A phenomenal effort given that he wasn't feeling very well at all in that race. And you're on board with the race-winning champagne bottle as Thomas Preining gets absolutely splattered. Well, some great racing once again here at Zandvoort. The weather-affected race 1. Plenty of intrigue and action going on in race 2. And at the end of the weekend, Lucas Auer builds an even bigger championship lead, despite not winning a race for the first time this season. 91 points for him. René Rast up to 75. Einjin Nguyen 73. Jules Gun on 73 as well. And Maro Engel currently runs in 5th place in the championship. Podium finishes this weekend for Niki Tim and Max Powell, who both move up the championship standings. And further back, Fabio Scherer scored his first points of the season in the Mustang, but failed to get off the line in this one due to a drive shaft issue.
What a phenomenal race weekend we experienced here in Zandvoort. We had it all, so much action, and also in regards to the weather, it was crazy. And now we're looking forward to the Norrisring in 4 weeks. You do not want to miss it because DTM is exciting as ever. See you then, bye-bye. Mwah.
Whoa, well done, René. Maximum pickup, fuel safe.